Hi guys, I'm Manu and welcome to another episode of Sweet Money. I'm a Canada US CPA and I run a cool little accounting firm better known as Shandel CPA. This episode that I do once a month, chilling with your favorite accountant, I talk about random topics. Nothing is off the table. This is therapy for me and you're my therapist. Let's get into it. Straight up, no sugarcoating. Do you think society is going to hell in a handbasket? Because I certainly do. Bianca Sensory goes naked to the Grammys. A woman in broad daylight gets robbed by two men, and someone sits in their car and tapes the entire episode. All this person had to do was honk their horn, or better yet, call 911. But instead, they were busy ensuring that they got the likes and comments so that their channel can go viral. A woman by the name of Erica Amore, she runs an OnlyFans channel. She goes on social media and complains that men don't want to date her. They do not take her seriously. She wants men to view her who she is as a person and not based on what she does. Well, I have breaking news for you. The men are judging you on who you are as a person, and they decided they don't want to be with you. Kanye West, also known as Ye, is selling Nazi t-shirts on Shopify. He has one product and one product only. When Shopify was questioned about it, they said we cannot monitor what everyone sells. But this guy isn't everyone. He's Kanye West, and he's created a viral product. But of course, the Benjamins were more important than ethics and morality. A drunk driver who killed the Goudreau brothers while they were cycling, A, he was drunk, B, he killed not one cyclist, but two cyclists, pleads not guilty. An influencer in Brazil by the name of Carol Rosalyn says if she ever gets married, her husband will have to pay a husband tax in order for her to maintain her looks and physique. Guys, all this has happened in the past week or two. What's wrong with society? I collected all this information in a 10-minute search. Imagine I had spent an hour. How much garbage could I collect? And again, like I said in the beginning, our society is going to hell in a handbasket. What's wrong with us as parents? What are we teaching the youth? The minds of young adults are being polluted at an exponential rate. I have told my 18 and 19-year-old son, you know what? Don't even bother getting married because you'll be setting yourself up for disaster. My 18-year-old is a big fan of a singer called Dax, and Dax conveys a very similar message to what I'm saying right now. And I said to him, listen, if you don't want to listen to me, at least listen to your role model. The question is, why has society deteriorated to such lows? Okay, now this is my theory. If you agree, let me know in the comment section. If you disagree, or if you have a different theory, or if you think society is actually improving, I'd love to know your thoughts as well. I think we can all have a healthy discussion. This is, after all, a free democratic society. So my theory is that the word trust has been eradicated from our vernacular, and my generation is to blame. We call these 20-year-olds lazy, entitled, self-centered, non-committal, etc. But the truth is, we have parented these children to become that way. The fact that employers are reluctant to hire this generation, that's also our fault because it was our parenting. The white velvet glove methodology given to us by the woke society has not worked. Media taught us to raise our kids in these padded rooms, play dates, be safe, be this, be that, be fearful of everything. And coming back to the word trust being eradicated from the dictionary, we tell our children to be fearful of everything. Don't talk to strangers. Don't go to the park alone because this boogeyman might show up in a white van and take you away. If you go to Halloween, have your parents inspect the candy. We have to send it to some science lab to check for contamination. Don't. Everything is don't. Don't trust anyone. Don't trust anything. And this fear is not just of adults that are older than them, but also amongst their peers. I found out recently when a guy is asking out a girl, they don't exchange phone numbers the way normal people used to do it. What they do is they follow each other on Instagram and then they drop each other DMs. So the concept of exchanging phone numbers and calling each other is a foreign concept. And I find that so funny. How can you actually develop a meaningful relationship if you don't even have a conversation with each other, right? And because of these reasons, the youth does not want to get married. And if they are, they're having a hard time sustaining these relationships. And because there's no trust, they just don't trust the people that they're with. They just believe that this relationship is doomed to fail. And for all you parents out there, if you want to see who your children have dated, just go on their Instagram because they don't talk on the phone. So the entire directory of who they've dated will be readily available for you. We have taught our children that at the first sight of you should run, right? It's always protect yourself. Don't trust, run. And they bring this mentality into relationships. So at the first sight of trouble, what do? They run, right? Back in the day, a marriage used to be a financial benefit. Now it's financial suicide. Moving on to a different topic. There's been a very quiet yet open movement of boycotting U.S. products and U.S. enterprises. And I've been following very consciously now what product, which enterprise is American and which isn't. And I was pretty disappointed how deeply American companies are ingrained in an average Canadian's lifestyle. And on the flip side, I'm quite disappointed that Canadians don't have a popular chain of coffee shops. And don't say second cup, because quite frankly, when's the last time you drove by or stopped at a second cup? Probably never. You can't think of a time. I know you can't. So don't even try. I mean, you can't buy a Canadian car. You can't buy a Canadian cell phone. And there really is no Canadian social media app. So really what we're left to do is not visit the US. And there was an article that WestJet has reported that they've seen a 25% drop in flight bookings to the US. Now, a portion of it is A, we're in a recession, so there's probably less travel. B, the Canadian dollar is very weak, so people are probably, choosing to travel elsewhere, and hopefully elsewhere is in Canada. And then C, yes, there definitely is an active movement of consciously not going to the US. And I'm one of those people. I will not be visiting the US anytime soon. Our country is beautiful, and most Canadians have not even discovered our own land. Yes, the weather patterns do not change from east to west. However, the geography does, and it changes drastically. So we should definitely discover what we have to offer to our own people. I guess this segues into the tariffs. Now, before you crush me in the comment section for giving my unfiltered opinions, I want you to hear me out till the very end, okay? I've read a lot of comments and they come from a place of emotion as opposed to a place of logic. And I find this very humorous and entertaining. And that's why I love reading the comment sections. Sometimes I'll actually skip the article and go straight to the comments because they're just highly, highly entertaining. Now, here are some facts, okay? Canada does not have an army. We don't have a navy. Now, a few men and women with water pistols does not count as a military. Canada has a population of 41 million people. And of those 41 million people, about 1 million, ideally 2 million, need to be sent back to where they came from. So technically, when I think of Canada's population, I think of us as being a 39 to 40 million and not 41 million. Canada does not manufacture any type of military equipment. We have not invested in this industry. Canada does not possess any nuclear weapons. About a year or two ago, a Chinese balloon flew over Canada. My boy JT has a panic attack, had no idea what to do. He calls up Biden, who was in the middle of his third afternoon nap, asking him, "Sir, what do I do?" Okay? And what ends up happening was the Americans had to blow down or shoot down that balloon. We didn't have the guts or the jam to do it ourselves. We only truly have one trading partner. which makes us very dependent and very vulnerable. A few years ago, the Germans came to Canada and said, let us purchase your oil. They were giving us a very lucrative price. It would have helped Canada's economy tremendously. They refused. They said no, and they sent them back. The Japanese came with the same offer. My boy JT sent them back, right? And now here we are today with no trading partner. And the one that we do have is twisting our arm. And the most important fact is that as a nation, we are divided. I'm not talking politically, even though that makes a difference. I'm talking socially, we are extremely divided. For example, Quebec has been wanting to separate now for the past 50 or 60 years. Right? There are now whispers coming out of Alberta, but we have all this oil. Maybe we're better off without Canada because most of our revenues end up in Ottawa anyways. So what's the purpose? Listen, the world is fully aware of our weakness, and Trump and his peeps have decided to exploit us on our weaknesses. And all I see people write about is that Trump is a bad neighbor. Now, really, Trump is an American first type of guy, and he's very open about it. And there's nothing wrong. I mean, I wish we had a leader who cared about his country the way China, Russia, India, and the American leaders care about their own country, right? Why can't we have a person who can walk into a room and demand respect? And quite frankly, since the beginning of time, the rich has exploited the poor. And under 10 years of JT's leadership, we've become poor. So now here we are today. Do you think the Roman Empire was built by having potlucks with neighboring countries? Do you think the British Empire was built by having a fair and equal barter system with other countries? Do you think the Mughal Empire was built by having peace missions? The fact of the matter is, we Canadians, we become entitled. We feel as if the Americans owe us something, as if they have to be nice to us. They have to be fair with us. They have to treat us with respect. But why? Like, do you truly believe the UN or the G7 is going to interfere and stop Big Brother because our feelings are hurt? Canada is no longer respected on the global stage, and nobody cares about our entitlement, especially the US. And let me give you some more facts here. The glaciers up north are melting. Russian Navy has now started to encroach on Canadian waters. A few weeks ago, Russian planes flew over Canadian land and territory without getting clearance from Canada. Now, as these glaciers melt, my prediction is the Russians will encroach further into Canadian land. But what's really intriguing is that we don't know exactly how much oil, gold, mineral, and resources we have up in the Arctic. But we do know there's a lot of goodies out there. And the Russians are also aware of this fact. And so are the Americans. Now, hypothetically speaking, if the Russians keep doing what they're doing and they decide to invade Canada, what are we going to do? Our only logical option is to go to the U.S. for help. Now, if we go to the U.S. for help, whether it's the Republicans or the Democrats, what do you think they will ask in return? Do you believe they will send their soldiers and resources and equipment to help us for free because we're their neighbor? No, they're going to want what we have. And basically, we're going to get squished. We're like that child who's in a court battle and two parents are deciding who gets to keep the child. And only thing that happens is that our arms are going to get torn out from the sockets. That's it. In my opinion, we need to go into beast mode. And in my opinion, we have to do three things and three things only. And I believe this is not optional. This is a matter of survival. It's a matter of preserving what our ancestors have built and left for us to preserve. Number one, we have to cut the umbilical cord ourselves and stop our dependency on the US. Trade amongst provinces should be borderless. We have to now develop those pipelines and sell our oil to Europe and whoever else in this world wants it. Sell your excess dairy and grain to Africa. Sell your lumber to Asia. Sell your steel to South America. It doesn't matter where it goes. The bottom line is we cannot sell to the US anymore. Invest heavily in the military. Encourage nationalistic pride the way Russia, China, Israel, and the Americans do. Serving our nation should be a badge of honor and not a task for someone else to complete. Number 3, no more handouts. These silly HST holidays, these carbon tax checks that we get, all these gimmicky things that we receive in order to garner our votes, it has to come to a complete stop. Powerful nations don't play these mindless games. They have a fair tax system with low tax rates, and they promote capitalism. We do not promote capitalism. We promote dependency on our government, which is why the government is broke and why we are broke. Dear Canada, it's time to stand up, man up, and become a global leader. And remember, it all starts with a simple conversation.